so-called Renaissance Calcutta, there were persons who were impacted by the coming of the West. Many persons who were not Bengalis by birth in that sense, but they also adapted themselves to the cultural efflorescence, if you call it in that way, in many ways. And there were many other persons, mainly from the unorganized working class, who belong to the Biharis, the other persons, and the Odiyas. There were the gatekeepers who were the Biharis, then the Odia cook in the palace of the Babus. They were also, the Pankha pullers, they were also there, not necessarily Bengalis, by birth. And they were also, looking to the coming of the West from their own specific worlds. And I think more and more research should be done on these margins. So let us start. I have 10 minutes to speak, but I won't waste time. Let us start with the first lecture by Dr. Anindita Ghoshal. Anindita has been famous for writing on the borders, and today she will be speaking on the Bengal Bihari interconnectedness. Her lecture is titled Perpetual Statelessness, Biharis and the Politics of Partition and Nationhood. Yes, the Biharis did go to West Pakistan and East Pakistan, and the heritage is still there, as we find in Musharraf and many other personalities. So, I request Dr. Ghoshal to present her paper.
The title of my presentation is Perpetual Statelessness, Biharis and the Politics of Partition and Nationhood. So, I start my presentation with a question that why to choose the Biharis as a category. So, as we all know that we often talk about the Hindus and the Muslims in general and the tribals, who got affected by the partition. But the Biharis, actually in India and especially in Bangladesh, generally the historians, political scientists, social scientists, generally they don't talk about them. But if we consult the primary sources, the archival sources, so I saw one file in Bangladesh National Archives that in one day 75,000 Biharis crossed the border. So I was trying to figure out that how many Biharis are there now in Bangladesh. So I found that now 5 lakhs Biharis are there in Bangladesh in 118 camps. And generally people only know about only one camp in Dhaka, that is Geneva camp, and in most of the cases we don't have any idea about the Biharis. So let me start that why I have chosen to research on this topic or on this particular community, and why I feel that it's so important to study, and obviously to share with all of you, with that, especially with the budding researchers, the students of the Department of History. So as all of us know that something happened in 2024 in July in Bangladesh. So people are confused that how to actually situate that and how to categorize that. Is it a revolt or we may say just it's an upheaval? But the fact remains that struggle actually started, or that agitation has started with a single word. So that word was Razakar. As Sheikh Hasina, she mentioned that word, that why should we not favor the Mukti Jodhas, the freedom fighters? Should we favor the Razakars? So the question remains that who were actually those Razakars? Huh? And that connotation, that word, how it actually came into use, and why it was so it was so important that it actually changed the regime in Bangladesh. Okay, so during 1971, the word Razakar actually at that point of time, so the meaning of the word Razakar was the Biharis. Okay, so Razakar means the traitors, the betrayers. Betrayers means the betrayers of the nation. In the nation where they belong, they betrayed the nation. So that was the connotation. So the next question is that why actually they perceive as a traitor or they perceive as a betrayer to that nation. So what was the history of the Biharis? Number two, I think that nowadays, thanks to SIR, which is now prevailed in West Bengal, as we often, we have a tendency not to, think about the NRC CAA things as that is not there in West Bengal. And we have a feeling that, okay, all those things about citizenship, about statelessness, that is not here in West Bengal, that is in Assam, so that's not very important, okay. But thanks to SIR, as lots of people like Professor Hitan Patel, like we have started getting notices and we are going there, and so now we know that that a paper document, what we call as a researcher, what we call as a paper regime. So how much that is important and how much all our documentary evidences like the Aadhaar, voter, passport, all those things are so important in our lives. So the case of Biharis are very important, as I always actually call them, what kind of citizenship they have. If we ask ourselves this question, that's a fluctuating citizenship, and after that they are actually, their condition is just like that, those 19,000 Assamese people, still now, their name is not there in the voter list, so their statelessness is also a kind of fluctuating statelessness. Some of them, they have the NID cards, and some of them they don't have. And the most crucial and important thing is that if you just go to check in one family, you will get people, in which you will see that the 4 people, they are stateless, and maybe 12 people in that, exactly in that family, who are citizens of Bangladesh. So I don't think in the whole world, such cases exist anywhere in this whole world, that within only one family, and when they fight and when they, like both the generation, when they fight and they say things, so the next generation, the current generation, they said, you just don't talk to me. You are not the citizen of this country. I am the citizen of this country. So that divide, I don't think in this whole world and anywhere we can see that kind of thing. So let me start that why and how these things happen, what I just told them. Just a quick review. As we all know that in 1940 we first heard about the demand of Pakistan. So for the Biharis, this Pakistan was very important, as they used to call them at Shopno Bhumi, and for them that was a land of eternal Eid. So they thought that it will be a state for the Muslims, and they will be so happy that for the whole year they will celebrate Eid. So it was like that only. And if we see this, if we did notice the features of this side, India, so we can see that that's a very famous speech of Jawaharlal Nehru. So you will feel like that, the freedom, the independence was so good, so nothing was happening, so everyone was so happy and celebrating, and it was really like getting freedom from a colonial ruler. But the actual scenario was not like that, as we see that actually among the social scientists, historian, political science, they have lots of debate that how many people actually crossed the borders, but it was at least 12 to 15 million people. And if we consult the official documents, the archival sources, we see that in the official sources, they always mentioned as Bengali refugees and non-Bengali refugees. So in case of the Biharis, so their categorization was under the non-Bengali refugees, and I want to make it clear, as we often say them, and they also categorize themselves as the Biharis, but when you will go to talk to them, it doesn't mean that all of them, they actually came from Bihar. So most of the populace were probably from Bihar, some of them are from UP, and I talked to the Jadavpur and Benarosi, they make Jadavpur and Benarosi saris in Mirpur. So I asked them from where you are, so they said that we are the Biharis, we are from Bihar. So I said, how you learned that how to make a Benarosi sari? Then they said, no, actually we learned from our father, grandfather. So I said, how they could learn this? Then they said that now we are from Benaros. Then I asked them that why you call yourselves as Biharis? So they said that no, actually if we call ourselves as Biharis, so we belong to at least one category. So we can demand our things or something like that. So therefore we categorize ourselves as Biharis, but actually we are from Benares. So that dimension is also very, very important as for them, that if someone actually declare himself or herself as a Bihari, so at least they can get free gas, free electricity line, actually at least inside the camp. So that's a kind of protection they can get from the state. So if you notice these photos carefully, I got this photo from a friend from Pakistan. So this is actually the Komolapur station of Dhaka. Okay. So if you notice this photo carefully, that's taken in 14th August 1947. So you will not feel like that some tensions were there and people were really scared. So people were like really crossing the boundaries and borders, and they didn't have any idea that what to do about it. Rather, they are quite happy, they are peaceful, and they thought that okay, it will be comfortable, and I mean in Bengal at least the partition will not hit in that way or something like that. So that was the actually reason. But what was there, what was actually there, what was the actual scenario? So I have given these two photos. One is from 1950 and another one was my fieldwork photo from 1920. That is Geneva camp. So let me just speak a little bit about the Biharis. I mean, what happened and how it happened and what they exactly thought. For the Biharis, I mean, the document which I consulted from the archive of Patna and Ranchi. So we are actually we are not aware about the fact that the most of the Biharis first they migrated from their villages to Patna to lots of at that point of time 17 refugee camps were there during the Bihar riot of 1946. We often talk about the Calcutta riot and Noakhali riot, but we don't talk much about the Bihar riot, which also happened in 1946. Okay, so first these Biharis they migrated from the villages, and they had to take shelter in Patna in the refugee camps, and from there they migrated to Calcutta. So that was their first migration. So here, I mean, after the Calcutta riot of 1946, if we read that Atmajibani by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, which is the autobiography of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and also like the autobiography of Anisuzzaman, so they have mentioned that those Biharis were there in front of the riot people. Actually, they were there under the conspiracy of riot, and actually Muslims used them. Probably that is the best way to use these things. So the Biharis who migrated from Bihar to Kolkata with the feeling that probably the city of Calcutta, they may try to absorb them or give them some kind of protection or accommodate them in this urban area. But they realized that by that time when they arrived in Kolkata, that time though the local people of Kolkata and also the administration, they have started targeting the Biharis as they were there under the Calcutta riot of 1946. So they realized that they don't have any other option than to go to Pakistan. And for them, I mean, there is a wonderful book by Horipada Datta. The name of the book is Mohajer. So there he beautifully mentioned that how the Biharis, they were always very keen to go to the West Pakistan. But as we know that during the Punjab partition, it was like a one-time flush. So they did not get the opportunity actually to go to the West Pakistan, and for them that was like a nearer Pakistan. They call it a Kacher Pakistan. So they did not have any. They thought that okay, with the will of Allah, we'll have to migrate there. And another issue was there that a Bihari migration in the eastern Bengal was not like a new phenomenon. So it was there from 1826 when the Assam Bengal Railway started, and those Biharis were always worked as a workforce. Behind those railways and all those infrastructural development kind of thing. So they thought that okay, we have to at least some connection in at least thanks to that railway track and railway jobs. So they were everything for the railway jobs or that kind of occupation. So they have decided to migrate to then East Bengal, now what we call Bangladesh. Okay. So after their migration, two things happened. So one thing, they actually could not realize that after their migration to today's Bangladesh, then East Bengal, I mean they will get some kind of facilities. Okay, so they did not have any idea. Why that happened? As we know that the West Pakistanis, they tried to actually make the East Pakistan as a colony. Yeah. as a colony, and because of that thing, actually the West Pakistanis, they tried to favor the Biharis, and they tried to use actually the Biharis as a workforce for their infrastructural development and everything. So what happened that number one, the Pakistani rulers, they never tried that kind of an interaction with the Bengalis and Biharis so that the Biharis can work for them. And during the language movement of 1952, they actually worked for the West Pakistanis. So what happened that from the very beginning, the Bengalis, they started treating the Biharis as someone very close to the West Pakistanis. So that feeling was there, and also the West Pakistanis, they created colonies for them. The Biharis could roam around in East Pakistan without tickets in train. So all those favors they got, and that was the key reason that why the Biharis actually they became the target of the Bengalis during 1971. And they were as we know that after partition, the only industry which was prevailed in East Bengal was the jute industry. Later the West Pakistanis, they tried to use the Chittagong Hill Track port for their business, etc. And this second photo is very important. I mean, one Bengali, he died out of a riot of Bengalis and Biharis, and the Biharis were carrying his dead body to show the power, that how powerful we are, that the last right thing, that also we should do. I mean, the Bengalis should not do. So all this actually jute means that is also owned by the Biharis, and they actually worked very hard to make the Tuta Futa Pakistan as a proper Pakistan. And they were sure that the West Pakistani were actually the rulers, and the East Bengal, they never could figure out that the East Bengal, someday East Pakistan in 1956, that will become a Bangladesh. So during 1971, the Biharis became the target of the, I should say, the Bengali nationalism, as they always tried to take side with the West Pakistanis. They were the Razakars. They used to supply the young Bengali girls to the military personnel. So they did all those notorious things, and obviously they became the huge target of the Bengalis. So, I mean, if I ask that, so how now, what is the condition of the stateless Biharis and how actually they are surviving? So as I mentioned in my lecture in the beginning, that they are in the camp, they are now they don't go out, and most of them, they remained in the camp. And I mean, you can see that how they are surviving, how this is the condition. So it's like a small house, 16 people, 26 people, and they sleep in rotations. Okay, so 8 people sleeps, after that they go out, and then 8 people sleep. So that's a kind of situation. But what is important here about 71, that the hatred was so high. I mean, we know that slogan in 71, the slogan was Joy Bangla. The Biharis used to say Buer Gamla, that is a pot of shade. Okay, so there another slogan which was very popular at that time, that একটা দুইটা বিহারি ধর সকাল সন্ধ্যা নাস্তা কর, মাওড়াদের খুন কর, মাওড়াদের খুন কর, পাকিস্তান তৈরি কর. So that was a kind of slogan they always used. And what I'm trying to argue is that a hatred was there actually from both the sides. It's not the Biharis or it's not the Bengalis. As Biharis used to say that हिलसा मछली खाएंगे पाकिस्तान जाएंगे, आधा रोटी खाएंगे पाकिस्तान जाएंगे. So the feeling of like they always thought that they belong to Pakistan, and they used to call themselves as stranded Pakistanis, or they in Bangladesh se aatke pada Pakistani. So still they categorize themselves as Pakistani. Okay, so that you can see the Geneva camp. So what I want to see that is actually, I feel that if you see the urban area, so I feel that is actually a state within a state, or that's a city within a city. Okay, so as they can't go out, and they are dependent on this kind of that is their profession. So they make jardosi saris, and they make some cottons, and most of them are butchers. They are very good cooks. In Dhaka there is a kebab called Bihari kebab. So the name of the kebab became Bihari kebab, as they are really great cooks, and they actually try to earn their bread through this kind of profession. So if we think about their citizenship questions and the human rights and state policy, so let me just okay. Yeah. Actually, all these three states, Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, they are not the official signatory of 1951 Convention and 1967 Protocol. So actually, I mean, just like Assam, or that the stateless people in Assam, that the Biharis, they are also totally dependent on the goodwill of the state, that how the state will treat them. So now the state gave them NID cards, through NID cards they can cast vote, but since they have that address of the camps, they cannot get passport or other legal documents, and their children, they cannot actually go to the normal schools, as they are always very scared about their other status. And what I told you, that the human right question was there. I mean, one UNHCR office was there, but they cannot work for them officially or formally. So the state policies actually are fluctuating. So in 2008, I mean, they have passed one law for the Biharis, and they gave some of them a kind of citizenship. But the problem is that actually for that they could not make it a law. So the thing is that is like a half of kind of thing. So any time, I mean, after the election of Bangladesh in February, it may happen that they may say that now we cannot actually consider them as our citizens. So that citizenship will go. That's what I call always as fluctuating citizenship and fluctuating statelessness. And the Bihari experience was not same for both the classes. Like the left, yeah, in the left, the photo, she was Bihari, and he was the CEO of Canada Airlines. So his experience was very different, though he migrated from Patna. And in the right hand side, he was the manager of a jute mill in Saidpur. So he said that the Biharis, they compelled them to learn Hindi, but the Biharis decided not to learn Bangla. So, I mean, the class-wise experience was also different for them. So, I think, I mean, what is my final argument is that we often talk about the long partition. So, I think that, like in India, we may say that, I mean, the refugees or the stateless people who are there in Assam now, the way they are facing the long partition, also the Chakmas and Hajongs in Arunachal Pradesh, Biharis in Bangladesh, they are actually surviving with their fluctuating status, and they don't know actually what will happen to them. And we may say that the Biharis are, in Bangla, what we say Japon, they are actually experiencing partition every day. Thank you so much.
Before 1971, as we know, the country was the same, Pakistan, right? So both East Pakistan, West Pakistan. So as, let's say, Biharis kind of migrated to the east and kind of like got stranded there post 1971. What about the Bengalis who actually migrated to, let's say, West Pakistan? What about them? Like there are slums in Karachi where Bengalis still live, and they are kind of treated the same as Biharis are being treated in East Bengal or Bangladesh now. So what about them?
Any other question? Yeah.
These Biharis, are they mainly Muslims? All of them? Okay. And another thing is that you're talking about perpetual statelessness, and it's a fluctuating kind of statelessness. But then you mentioned that there was an act probably which did not become law. They got something like citizenship. Please clarify.
Okay. Any more? Yes. Please.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Tanisha. The presentation, it was very enlightening, and actually it relates a lot to my dissertation and my research. So I wanted to view how Biharis do view the Biharis that you talked about in the presentation, do view self-determination, and what role does language play in that? Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, where Shobhoshaji Boshurai Chaudhary is working. Yeah. Okay. So here you are.
Thank you for asking this question. Actually, there was a discussion in 1972 with the Pakistan authorities and the Mujibur Rahman, as he proposed that he wanted to have an exchange of population with the Biharis who were there in Bangladesh. The name of that land was Bangladesh, and the Bengalis who were there in Pakistan. But actually Pakistan never tried to accept that, as they could figure out that the number of Bengalis were less in Pakistan, were stranded there, and the number of Biharis were actually high there. And for Pakistan, it is very unfortunate that the Biharis, they were never Bengali enough for the Bangladeshis, and they were not Muslim enough for the Pakistanis. So that is very unfortunate. So it never happened, and now you know that the condition of the Bengalis in Pakistan is worse actually than the condition of the Bengalis who are there in Bangladesh, as they have at least some kind of protection or privileges from the state, as Mujibur Rahman tried to arrange a few things for them, but one thing was really worst, about treating the Biharis and treating the tribals during the Mujibur's time period, as when they asked for their right and their citizenship and their individual identities, Mujib used to tell them that Aage tomra Bangali hoye jao. They should be the Bengali first, and then he will get them all different kind of protections and all different kind of treatment. So I think that is simultaneously very problematic. But I personally feel that if that exchange of population happened, that probably the condition would be better for both these communities. Thank you, ma'am, for asking these questions. Yeah, they are Muslims, but the Biharis are Shia Muslims and the Bengali Muslims are Sunni Muslims. So there are some differences, and the way they practice Islam, that is also very different. Therefore, the Biharis, they always supported Jamaat. That is another kind of layer in Bangladesh politics, that they generally they are the supporters of Jamaat Islami or BNP, and the Bengalis, as we know, that they are always in favor of the Bengali Jatiyotabad, and they are kind of in favor of the BNP, in favor of the Bangladeshi Jatiyotabad. So that connotation is also very, very different in case of them. So I think, and yeah, citizenship, that is actually the most tricky part, what I tried to emphasize lastly, so I was trying to wrapping up. The question of their citizenship is very tricky, as in 2008, that gazetted notification was not there, but they have passed some kind of protection for the Biharis, and 30,000 Biharis, they have decided to accept that. They gave it as an option. So they have decided to accept that.
There is some condition.
Yeah, but they never actually tried to obey that idea of citizenship as someone was born in that particular country. Okay, so that never got implemented in case of the Biharis. And now, there are two layers of problems. One layer of problem is that how the nation state should see them, how the political parties, as Awami League always try to use them as vote banks. It happens everywhere in South Asia, probably in the West as well. But in South Asia, you know, so that is an essential kind of identity politics that we always experience. Okay, so they try to treat them as vote banks. So therefore, they gave them some kind of NID cards. They call it a national identity card. But through that, they did not give them any kind of facilities what a Bengali citizen or a Bengali citizen they get. Okay, so that's a very different kind of thing. And also, since the nation state gave them that option, so what happened? Some of them they have accepted, and most of them they decided not to accept it. As for them, that's a question of their survival. Yeah. So that's a problem actually. What is so the Biharis who are there within the camp and outside the camp, so their lives are totally different. So that is number two answer. Okay. And for you asked me about the self-determination. Yeah, I think that their bonding, within the community is strong. Okay. So I don't think that they are really in a position to exercise a kind of self-determination. As I talk to the women folk, they say, most of them, they say that, yeah, you know, that that's a mistake that we travel from Bihar. As now to all of them, they have smartphones, they can talk to their family, they can make video calls even. So they feel that the Biharis who are there in Bihar, in India, and who are there in Pakistan, they are in a better condition. So, I asked someone in Chittagong, Jhautala camp, that you want to go back to Pakistan? She said, yeah. If I get that opportunity, I will go back to Pakistan. And they don't have any idea that Pakistan, actually, as a state, they don't want to adopt them or accept them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anindita.